This is Stephendiego, and you are tuned in to Breaking Down the Breakdown. For our first ever episode, we're going to talk about what the heck happened to me. Hello, everybody. This is so weird because I've never done something like this before. Welcome to my first episode. Is this a podcast? I don't know, because this is like budget podcast, right? It's like I don't know, like literally $0. I mean, I don't know. I gotta stop saying I don't know. I do know what I'm doing though. What is this podcast about? Well, this is to open up everybody's minds towards mental health and mental health issues. You know, things that you don't know might be affecting you. You know might be affecting you but don't want to confront. You know might be affecting you but, you know, choose to ignore it because you feel like there's more important things in life. And of course, for those of you who wants to share your stories and whatever you're going through, just to kind of open up this whole new world for, you know, everybody else, just so they know. Sorry, this is really heavy. Just so they know how hard it is, because it's hard to put yourself in somebody else's shoes without knowing exactly what they're going through. And, you know, the whole point of this show is to kind of crack that open and just be like, ta-da, here's my brain. But yeah, so like, you know, tune in because, you know, as the weeks progress, we're going to have special guests. People who want to talk about what's going on with them. And yeah, but without further ado, let me get started. Alright, my name is Steven. I am 32. I was an alcoholic. No, I wasn't. A lot of people think I am, but I'm not. I just like to drink. Anyway, is that where my mental health issue started? Yeah. Let's just start from there. It actually, I mean, you know, it probably started from birth, you know? I mean, I know that my dad's side of the family has these issues, and I didn't know this until I broke. But anyway, enough about my history. Actually, I will start with me. This whole episode is all about me, so, you know, perfect. 'Cause I love to talk about myself. Kind of. But anyway, so what prompted me to kind of start this, is this how podcasts are? It's just like one big like zoom. Like I can't even take a break to think about what I'm gonna talk about. I should have thought this out a lot better. But anyway, so why I started this, aside from obviously why I wanted to start helping other people out with mental health issues to kind of talk about it, is because I'm going through it, and I realized how hard it could be to feel super alone and to feel like nobody's going to understand what you're going through, to feel like everyone's going to judge what you're going through. You know, I want to give a shout out to my therapist, my psychotherapist. No names because my psychotherapist wants to be private. But, you know, throughout my therapy sessions, I realized just how common it is for people to have a variety of what I'm going through. So what am I actually going through? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going through violent, obsessive, intrusive thoughts. Now everybody actually at some point in their lives has had intrusive thoughts. The difference between everyone else's obviously varies, right? There are people who they just think about it and they're just like, okay, what the fuck? Or they're just kind of like, ooh, that's scary. And they think about it for like a week and then it's gone. Mine was a result of psychosis that I induced myself. Well, I mean, I didn't, it's not like I made myself go into psychosis, right? But long story short, I tried weed brownies for the first time, made by a friend, a good friend of mine. I didn't realize how terrible it could be to kind of eat more than what you should. I started off with one whole brownie. Before I know it, I was really hungry. I was on my third, and they didn't realize until I was already eating my third, and we were all just laughing about it. I remember it was really funny. And the night progressed. I really hope I don't have a flashback episode right now, just because I'm talking about it. Those are scary. But as the night progressed, everything was just so funny to me. And then I kind of had an intrusive thought. And this intrusive thought was violent. It was more like something that I would not normally say. I was looking at photos and I was making a comment in my head, like a really bad comment, but I was laughing at it because I thought it was funny. But then I was just kind of like, oh, that's shit. Like, that's really shitty. And then it started from there. Like, it's like I kept checking my phone to make sure I didn't post it. Kept checking my phone, like, okay, no, like, that was so bad. Like, I hope I never wrote that. Like, I hope that wasn't like that. And that made me feel so uncomfortable. So I went upstairs to my room because I was like, I'm just going to sleep this off. I'm not feeling very good. When I got into my room, I turned off the lights, and that's when everything happened. Like, my thoughts were running like crazy to the point where I started to catastrophize and thought, oh my God, I have like multiple personalities because there's all these things just running through my head. It was just like, I'm this, I'm that. It was like Inside Out, you know, it was like those little characters, but it was my emotions, right? And I remember I just kept telling myself, I was like, all right, guys, let's rein it all in. Let's all just collect each other as one. But I remember as I was lying down, I started hearing my thoughts saying terrible things. And it was kind of saying, you know, like, I'm gonna go kill them. And I was like, this isn't right. So immediately I ran downstairs, and I remember I told one of my good friends, I told her, I was like, I'm about to have a bad trip. Where are they? Because there was three other people at the time. And thankfully they ran upstairs, and I told them from the get-go, I was just like, guys, like, this isn't good. And I believe I told them that my thoughts are telling me to kill you guys. Please hold me down. And I waited. I waited until they were restraining me. And that's when I let go. And it was a whole episode. I didn't realize at that. I thought I was just tripping balls, like, because I heard everybody trips balls. But it was weird. It was like I saw myself, like, just, grabbing a knife. And then before I know it, my friends were dead on the floor. And I was screaming like crazy. I remember shifting back and forth from that episode into there, telling them, please knock me out. I don't want to be this. I don't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to kill you guys. Please make it stop. I kept saying that. Ugh. Talking about it is just kind of weird. And I think it lasted for a while. It felt like forever. Initially, I got out of it, and I kind of calmed down a bit. I remember they were trying to get me water, and the whole night I kept trying to be like I was psychic. I was like, oh, I know you're gonna do this. Just trust me in my thoughts, because it felt like there were two versions of me, one that was ahead of me and one me. And I was just kind of like, it was almost as if I was trying to get clues from the person that was 10 seconds ahead of me. Like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. So that whole night was a trip. So I remember being transported into, like, and this was after the psychotic episode of me killing them, being transported into somewhere else and talking to, like, mechanical angels. At this point, this is when I was like, okay, now I'm just tripping. But I remember it was just so vivid. Like, it was almost as I was trying to make a bargain with God to, like, let me live and to, like, anyway, long story short, finally snapped out of it. They helped me sleep. I remember they were all sleeping beside me, like little angels, just making sure I was fine. And the next day, I thought everything was okay. I felt kind of shaken. I was kind of embarrassed at first. But then something felt off after. It was just like, because I just kept remembering the night. And it was my intrusive thoughts. So it just started off like, oh, like, why do I feel like why do I feel like I want to kill them still? And it was just like, kind of like, I was trying to shake it off and I couldn't shake it off. And I kept thinking about it because I was like, oh no, what happened that night? I kept just I kept just I guess you would say catastrophizing things because I was really worried, and I was just kind of like trying to decipher what was happening. So it lasted for 2 weeks of me being uncertain, feeling like, like feeling like, oh no, like I don't want to kill them, but like my thoughts are like making me feel like I'm gonna end up doing it. Until one night, I was trying to go to bed, and I felt that again. I heard that voice again, my thoughts saying, oh, tonight's the night I'm gonna go kill them. And I was just like, okay, no, like I'm not dealing with this. I called telehealth at first because I didn't want to freak anybody out with 911 because for the most part I was in control. So I called telehealth, told them what was going on, started researching on things like going to CAMH, which is Center for Addiction and Mental Health, I think is what it's called here in Toronto. Um, I was trying to make a plan to just kind of make sure that everybody was safe and I was safe. So sure enough, they told me an ambulance came, brought me to North York Gen, and I was seen by a psychiatrist. I told them what happened, and it was funny because this person was like, "You're fine." And I'm like, "I'm not fine. Like, I don't know why I feel like this." They're like, "No, you're fine. You just, it's just the effects of the weed." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that was 2 weeks ago." And he was like, "Well, it depends, like, on how much you took, and, it could stay in your body for a very long time." And I'm like, "Okay, understand, but, like, no, like, I'm not going back." They're like, "No, we're gonna give you some pills and you can go back." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I insisted to stay." And, he was just like, "Okay, fine, but I'm telling you, it's not gonna help." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Like, I just want people to feel safe." So I stayed there, and I got seen by a different psychiatrist. This one actually explained to me what was going on. He told me, like, it was a brief acute psychotic disorder. Um, and I didn't know it was intrusive thoughts at the time. He just said that, oh, these are just the effects of the drugs, like, but like the important thing to know is that no one's gonna get hurt because you are aware enough of what's going on around you. And that's why they didn't want you to stay here in the first place. And I told them, I'm just like, like, I get that, right? But like, it's for everybody's safety. Like, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. So I stayed there for a few nights. And I got discharged after, I believe, 3 nights. And I went back home, and it was still the same. My thoughts were still telling me these things, and it was scary. It's still scary. I'm still dealing with it right now as we speak. The difference between when I got discharged and now is that I'm a bit more educated on what I'm going through. Now, I had to share that story because that's kind of what sparked this whole thing with me helping people out who are going through mental health issues, especially the homeless. If a person like me, who I believe I'm pretty strong, and that's why I'm like surviving, was this terrified of this thing, and I go to a hospital and they're just like, "Okay, here's some pills and go." Like, and that's me having access to these things. I can just imagine people who have no access to these things and don't know what they're going through. And, funny enough, if I actually didn't go to the hospital, or if I actually didn't stay, I wouldn't have been referred to a psychotherapist. That's not good, Like, I felt like my psychotherapist really helped me through a lot, helped me understand more about myself, that really helped me in this whole battle with, being okay living with intrusive thoughts. But, I mean, it is what it is. That's what happened. I'm just glad I made the right calls. Sorry, talking about that was very difficult, and I'm so sorry if that triggered some of you. I know there's a lot of questions that's going to be going through your head. Actually, if you just email me questions, stephendiego@hotmail.com. I know, I still use Hotmail. I could totally answer it for you. You can also reach out to me on my Instagram. It's stephendiego, stephendiego. If you want to talk about your experiences, not on the show, if you want to talk about it to me, um, and if you want to share it on the show, great. If not, if you just need somebody to talk to, you can talk to me. I mean, I'm not a professional, but I am going through something. Anyways, back to this whole plight. So it has been 6 months. 6 months since the drug thing happened. I still feel the same intensity from the thoughts. Sometimes the intrusive thoughts take on new roles, take on new forms, trying to make me think things that scare me. There's a few books that's helped me. If you guys actually want some references, one book is called From Panic to Power, which was suggested to me by a good friend of mine, Ryan. Thank you for that. Just to kind of help me deal with anxieties. Which, oh my god, I completely forgot. These intrusive thoughts actually trigger anxiety attacks. So, I don't know why I forgot to talk about this. When I got out of the hospital, or actually the night I got sent to the hospital, it was an anxiety attack. My thoughts sent me into an anxiety attack. My heart started to beat real fast. I felt like I was gonna get teleported back into that whole, psychosis world. I don't know what you call it. Kind of like a flashback. But anyway, yeah. So these tap into your anxieties, and they make it run like crazy to make you feel like you're crazy, right? So From Panic to Power actually helped me kind of not completely not have panic attacks, but not have them make me cry. They were still kind of severe, but it wasn't to the point where I'm crying, because I was crying for 2 weeks every time I would have it. It was bad. But the book really helped with that. Another book suggested to me by my great friend Connie, was Self Compassion by Christian Neff. Something that really helped me, because throughout my whole battle with the intrusive thoughts, now mind you, my intrusive thoughts were about killing people or hurting people. Doesn't even have to be the people I saw in my psychotic state, just anybody that I saw on the streets. And imagine going through that every single day. That takes a toll on you, because you feel guilty and you feel like you're hopeless. So self-compassion really helped me find self-compassion, allowing myself to just kind of hug myself and comfort myself and tell myself, hey, it's okay. People go through this. You know who you are. And even if sometimes you feel like you don't, you're going to be okay. These are just moods, and they're going to calm down. And, that really helped with that. But another book that really helped me, and this is, I bought this 2 months ago. It's called Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts. It has been a lifesaver. I still have it. Because unlike the first two books, this actually goes into detail with what these thoughts are and how to deal with them. It's funny when you read it, because you will get triggered, but at the same time you start to understand, wait a minute, these are all things that's happening to me right now. If this book is telling me this, then it must be okay. Sorry. And it takes time, it takes practice. It's been 2 months since I got the book. I still have these intrusive thoughts, but the difference is the approach that I've taken. I've allowed to embrace it. That sounds wrong, but hear me out. Instead of fighting it and trying to reassure yourself, or trying to do all of these things to kind of like say, I'm a good person, I'm not going to do that ever. This book actually taught me to just accept it. Actually, there's just a few steps in that book that they stated. in which you just kind of, recognize their intrusive thoughts, recognize when it's happening, they're just intrusive thoughts. Allow yourself to tell yourself that it's just intrusive thoughts and nothing more. So you label it, and then you tell yourself they're just intrusive thoughts. You accept and you allow it into your awareness. You float and feel, so you kind of note that it's, you're feeling kind of right now because of it, but you just stay above it, don't get lost. Don't drown in it, right? And then you just let the time pass by. And by that, I don't mean look at your clock and be like, okay, how long has it been? It's more so you just let it ride out and you just go back to doing what you were doing. The important thing that this book has taught me is that you can't let these intrusive thoughts take over your life. I don't mean in the sense that take over your life, you're going to end up doing them. I mean, take over your life that it's going to stop you from actually living. And that's what it's done to me for the past few months. I mean, the first 3 months were great because I lost 25 pounds. But in hindsight, that was bad because these thoughts made me avoid food. Like, it made me just buy eggs and tuna. I ate eggs and cans of tuna for 3 months straight. Because I was like, wow, these are the only things I can eat because there's barely any salt in it. And I heard salt induces anxiety attacks. And if I induce an anxiety attack, my intrusive thoughts are gonna... And it just steamroll from there. Oh my goodness, I just realized something. This whole entire time, there's that... Whatever. You know what? Maybe I like the red theme. There. I'm gonna keep it. I shouldn't... What a fail. Anyway, whatever. This is like, what? 21 minutes into it, I realize it. Amazing. Anyway, where was I? Right, taking over your life. Yeah, no, so it took over my life for a bit. It's still here. Some days are still very challenging for me. It makes me want to avoid people. Makes me want to avoid talking to people that I love. I haven't seen my mom in a while. I haven't visited her because of this. I'm acknowledging that. I haven't seen a few friends of mine because of this. It's always the people you're close to. And it's as it was being said in the Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts book, it actually explains that these intrusive thoughts, if you are a caring, gentle, non-violent person, you are almost always going to have violent intrusive thoughts. If you were to have intrusive thoughts, it's always going to be the opposite of who you are. And what's worse is it targets the things and the people you care about the most. Not just that, it also targets people that you find are vulnerable. So like children, elderlies, people who are sick. That's just how these things work. It's like, it's twisted. It's sick and twisted is what it is, right? But those are intrusive thoughts for you. This has not been easy for me to talk about, actually, but I'm glad I'm able to put this out there because a lot of people will watch this or hear this and be like, holy shit, he's crazy. Call the cops or whatever, right? But this is the sad reality of it. There are people out there who's, I don't want to say their goal is to not believe in people like me, but there are people out there who would refuse to believe that this is treatable and would just say, no, you're just fucking crazy, put you behind bars. Or people sometimes tell me, have you prayed it away? And it's like, I'm a Catholic. I love Jesus. Trust me, I pray every night. And prayers have helped me get through the worst of it. So, I'm not saying don't pray. I'm just saying this isn't something that can just be prayed away. If anything, you can pray and God will show you, if you believe in God, like I do, God will show you what to do and how to deal with it. And that's what I've been doing. But there will be people that will tell you there's alternatives, there's this, there's that. But unfortunately, things like these, you gotta do yourself, and you gotta just find a really good psychotherapist, find a really good psychiatrist if you choose to go down the medication route, which I suggest for some people to actually try. I tried, didn't work. I think my mind is still too sensitive, or just the medications were not good for me. But there are options. The point of me opening up this talk is not just so I can feel better about myself. It's not that. It's just to show you guys that, especially during COVID times, where everybody is pretty much losing it, you might find yourself in the crosshairs of a mental health issue. And if you do, don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to talk to people about it. Don't be afraid to seek help. It doesn't make you any, weaker than you are. It's not about weakness, right? It's, try to put your pride aside as well. Most of you have probably made fun of people with mental health issues. Lord knows I have. That's just the world we live in. Unfortunately, when we are, not exposed to these things personally, it's so easy to just disregard these people. Disregard people who are going through it, and we can just say they're fucking crazy, they're nuts. It's so easy for us to label them. And it's a wake-up call. Nobody is safe from this. People will be like, oh, that's your karma. And it's like, no, karma or not, I'm actually grateful that I'm going through this, because it allowed me to see just how painful it is for people to be living like this. And now imagine to live like this with no support system. It's unbearable. Anyway, my time is running out. It has been, wow, I've been talking for this long. This has been great. I'm so sorry for the red dots and red line. Clearly I'm new at this. But yeah, so follow me on Instagram, stephendiego. Email me, stephendiego@hotmail.com, if you have any questions or you want to share your own experiences. If you want to come on the show and talk about your own struggles, go ahead. Honestly, we're all in this together. It's going to be a rough few months or years ahead. I keep looking down. I'm just not. Maybe I should have moved my my camera is just right here. But yeah, no. But I really hope you guys are keeping well. And remember, always reach out and seek help if you feel like it. I don't want to say better safe than sorry, because that sounds so scary. It's not about that. It's about, put yourself in a position where if you are able to get through what you're going through, you could be helping a friend out who might develop something the same that you've, developed these past few months or weeks or days, right? And you can help them out and let them know that they're not alone. So, yeah. Anyway, it's been great. I will see you guys next time. Also, today is Mental Health Awareness Day. This is also why I did it, because I was like, you know what? Now is the perfect time to do it. But yes, thank you for listening. It's kind of... I promise I'll talk more about stuff next week when I think about... I'm going to rewatch this and be like, right, because I kind of just went on a tangent sometimes. But yes, whatever. First time doing this. Not bad. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. And remember, always be open and always show compassion.